This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
March is National Women's History Month, and this year's theme is honoring trailblazing women in labor and business. So today we highlight a local entrepreneur, Sydney Coles, founder and owner of Coles Travel and Events. Sydney, welcome to Tar Heel Talk.
Thank you, welcome.
You have an event planning and travel company. Tell us a little bit about your business and the services that you provide.
I actually started my business in 1998. And Coles Travel and Events is a event planning, event marketing, promotions, and travel-related business. So we do a range of different events, anything from conferences to trade shows to Black Expos to galas to fundraisers to golf tournaments to theme events. So we are just across the board as it relates to the event aspects. And then with travel, we specialize in a lot of group destinations. Okay. We do a lot of excursions, be it by charter buses, plane, cruises, so we pretty much do it all.
Okay. What inspired you to start your own business?
It started actually before I got married. I'll be married 23 years in July, and the first event that I did was our wedding. We lived in Los Angeles and we were gonna elope, and I actually told a friend. We were going to go to St. Thomas, have our wedding, and I told a friend. And she told a friend, and next thing you know, we had 50 people going.
Oh, wow.
So I ended up doing all of the travel arrangements. I did the entire wedding, from the wedding to the reception to all of the excursions. So I just felt as though if that was something that I could do for free, then I could do something that I had a passion about and make money.
Now, what was your first career? Because I know that your company is not your first professional work. So talk a little bit about your first career and how you were able to make that transition.
Well, I worked in European Textiles Corporation for about 13 years. So my background was in marketing. So I was in the marketing field. I did some finance work, worked for a couple of Fortune 500 companies, and just really decided that that's not really where I wanted to be. So I just took a leap of faith and said, I want to create an opportunity so that I can pretty much be my own boss. And it's been working ever since.
What advice would you give to someone who may be interested in starting their own business but not quite sure exactly where to start?
Well, first of all, I would say that it's a big step, it's a big obligation, and you really need to understand kind of what you're getting into as it relates to, it's just not starting a business, it's knowing your business, understanding the market, and pretty much understanding that pretty much you're your own boss, so you can make it what you want, or for those who, don't, they fail. So for me, it was just an opportunity where I knew that, I was ready to put forth everything that I had, learn all aspects of my business, which is very, very important to understand that, and then be able to, I'm all about helping people. So it was an opportunity for me to be able to kind of lift others up that wanted to do the same thing. Absolutely. So I do a lot of mentoring as well.
We're going to talk more about your mentoring and the partnerships you have there a little bit later in the show, but I want to talk now about your role models and who was your inspiration in terms of being able for you saying, yes, I can do this, I can start my own business.
Well, first of all, my husband. He has been amazing. He's actually my partner. We do a lot of events and stuff together. So he is always the type that's very open-minded. He understands to stay in his lane because that's really important, especially when working together. Right. So he's been a great inspiration. My father growing up was also an entrepreneur, or is an entrepreneur. He's a general contractor, so he worked from home. And then, when he would go to work, it was like, this isn't the kind of office that I'm used to seeing, So I remember him having his blueprints on the table, and he would have Teddy Pendergrass wake up every morning on the radio, and then he would go into his Phyllis Hyman, You Know How to Love Me, and I'm like, I think I like this. So when I'd come home from school, he was still doing his own thing, and it was just so much flexibility, and I was like, I want a job like that. And he always told me, do what you love first and the money will come. And to this day, I've always embraced that, and it works.
Absolutely. When you talk about working with people on planning events, there in the Triangle area, there are events almost every day, every weekend especially. What are some of the things that our viewers need to know when working with an event planner? Because I know that there are lots of things and lots of bits and pieces of information that people need to know in order to make that working relationship as smooth as possible.
For me, I like to understand who I'm working with or know the person. I like to understand the story. So I'll ask you, what is your vision, or what brought you to this point of doing this event? Because when I do an event, I want it to be you. I want people to be able to come in and say, okay, this is who this person is. So for me, it was always just understanding the client, understanding their goals, understanding their personality, because everybody is not always that easy to work with. I'm a true believer of meeting people where they are. So, some may be, after a couple of conversations, you can kind of tell what kind of personality you're going to deal with, and you just kind of meet them on those levels. So some are more hand-holding, some are more direct, and then you just learn to work in that relationship and build that relationship based on, I guess, the understanding of who they are and what they want.
And from a client's perspective, what are some of the questions a client should ask when trying to select an event planner?
Well, you kind of want to know what their background is, what if they have special niches, some of their creative ideas. Of course, they want to, one of the questions that's kind of both ways is the budget. So you kind of want to know, what they charge, what type of resources they have as preferred. Do they have a list of preferred clients? And as far as just getting to know them or them getting to know you, you have to be open, because some of the questions are not always nice questions. I mean, some are very direct, because you work with sometimes people who are very just direct. So I would say, as it relates to the questions, it's kind of what I would want to know if I'm asking a question, as far as what I would want to see in an event. So the questions would be, what is the time frame? What can you bring to the table? How involved do I need to be? Do you have a team of people working with you? Exactly what do you offer? So those are kind of some of the questions.
How can people find out more information about your business?
I have a website. It is www.ctellcglobal.com. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll talk more in just a minute.
Great.
We'll continue our conversation with entrepreneur Sydney Coles after these messages. In honor of Women's History Month, we're talking with local entrepreneur Sydney Coles. She is the founder and owner of Coles Travel and Events. Now, Sydney, before the break, you were talking a little bit about your business and some of the services that you offer, and then providing our viewers with a few tips on, selecting an event planner. Let's talk now a little about the travel aspect of your work and how you put those events together, and who should look for someone professionally to help put together a travel package.
Last year in 2016 alone, I think I traveled 3 weeks out of every month.
Wow.
I had back-to-back events. So travel is extensive as it relates to events, because it's just not here in North Carolina, but I'm nationwide, and I do international events as well. So for me, my children have learned, Mommy's going to work, but she'll be back home. So I do a lot of extensive travel, and you have to pretty much work with your body when you're on the go so much, because for me, I can do an event. We do some type of exhibiting sometimes for clients, and I can be on my feet for 12 hours a day, 3 or 4 days a week. So for me, I had to learn as far as, okay, you're going to travel, but you need to also take care of yourself when you do that.
And that brings me to my next point. When you're talking about, you know, you're owning your own business, you're working for yourself, a lot of times that doesn't leave you a lot of room to get help and that support.
Right. Well, for me, especially when I started out, I was a one woman person. So therefore, I did everything from, you know, all of the paperwork. I did all the on-site inspections. I dealt with all the client, you know, client questions, the issues. I was a one-person person, so I was up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because I had, you know, when you're an event planner, there are details. You have a lot of details, a lot of timelines, and if you miss one of those timelines, it could cause major issues. So for me, it's constant work. You don't get a break when you work for yourself. It's you know, you have to burn the midnight oil, and I'm learning to let go of some of the things that I hold so dear, and learning it's okay to outsource some things. It is okay to do that. So with that, you know, to be a great boss, you need to also be able to delegate effectively as well.
Absolutely. And you have a family, so that work-life balance is something that's important. How do you manage that?
I work at it every day. It is a constant challenge for me because I can sit in front of the computer starting at 6 in the morning, and I'm still sitting in front of the computer or on the phone at 7, 8, 9, and 10 o'clock at night because some of my clients could be West Coast, international, so I have to be available when they need me. So the work-life balance, I'm learning now that it is so important. It makes me a better person, mind, body, and spirit. So it has to be a life balance, and my family is great about that because they give me my downtime when I come home. You know, my husband will get in the kitchen and cook dinner, and my kids, you know, they're glad to see mommy when she comes home because they know that, you know, we do work hard, but we also have time to play hard as well.
When you talk about owning your own business, what are some of the challenges that you've faced over the last 19 years?
Well, working for yourself, you have to be extremely disciplined because people who work from home or people who own their own business, that's one of the jokes my friends say, you know, oh, you work from home, you don't do anything, you're never busy. But I think I work harder than they do by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, I've covered so much. So as far as the time frame goes, as far as being able to just hold it all together, it's a process. It's definitely a process.
And you've had events, some networking events or opportunities for the public to get to know a little bit more about your company. Talk a little bit about that and the importance of reaching out and doing your homework on the event planning and travel agencies.
For me, I just did a real big mixer here in Raleigh for the holidays, and I wanted just an opportunity for people to get to know me, get to know my business, get to understand what services we offer, and it was an opportunity for them to also meet my family because they are so involved in the events with me. So it was an opportunity to bring the public in, and every event that I do, I want people to know Sydney had her hands on that. This was a Sydney event because of the creativity and what I expect as it relates to running a business and executing events. So when clients come to me, I let them know, you know, this is what I offer you. I am very dedicated, extremely detailed. You know, if I tell you the event's going to start at 8, the events will start at 8. And it's a wonderful thing when you can develop those relationships with people who understand what you can bring to the table as an event planner, and it's even a better, just a wonderful experience when they can see the entire process and then the end result. So it can be very challenging at times because it takes a lot of work.
I can imagine.
People don't understand sometimes the detail that it takes to put into an event. But for those who do, they just appreciate that so much more. Especially, clients, they come in and it's like, I just need to take this all away from you. Let this just be hassle-free for you. Let us do our job, and then you just come in and shine. And they love that because they know every detail is covered. When they come in, when people come into the event, it says who they are. So it's been very rewarding. It's a lot of work, but with life experience, as far as meeting people and understanding that everybody is who they are, and everybody is not always not reachable, but it sometimes it takes a little work to get them to kind of open up and let you,
Right.
To do what you do. So it sometimes it takes a little work, and that's where the trust is, the value, because I'm all about integrity and doing the right thing by people, because at night I need to be able to sleep, knowing that I have peace of mind that I've done the right thing. And it shows. So, when people come to me, it's just, they can just kind of see that type of person that, that's easygoing, detailed, but still takes care of business.
Absolutely. We're going to take another break. We'll talk more in just a minute.
Okay.
Don't go away. Tar Heel Talk will continue after the break. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. March is Women's History Month, and this year's theme is honoring trailblazing women in labor and business. So today we highlight a local entrepreneur, Sydney Coles. She is founder and owner of Coles Travel and Events. Let's talk a little bit about the travel aspect of your work, because there are people who love to travel internationally or take family trips, but don't necessarily want to plan all the details or go, all the logistics of the trip. Give our viewers some tips on what to look for when selecting a travel agency.
Well, when you're selecting a travel agency, first of all, you kind of want to do a little research on them to make sure that they're accredited. And that they are able to offer a few resources as it relates to safety is always the most important when you have clients that you're sending anywhere, especially international. So safety aspects, knowing what's going on in those areas so that you stay away from, maybe somewhere that may be having some type of disease breakout or something going on politically that they may not necessarily know. Your agent needs to be abreast on these things. So you want an agency or an agent that is pretty knowledgeable about the travel industry. There are many different resources available. They have conferences every year. They do a lot of different travel trade shows so that agents can stay abreast on what's going on and the newest and the greatest tools. So you kind of want to make sure that you can kind of know when you talk to somebody if they know a little bit about where you're trying to go. But if they don't, if they offer to reach out to other agents that may know these areas that you're trying to travel to, or contact tourism boards or Chamber of Commerce, any of those kind of places. So you want somebody who's kind of knowledgeable about the industry before you give them the business.
Okay. When it comes to your work, I know that you have a passion for mentoring, and you do that quite frequently. Talk a little bit about that and your efforts to reach out and help other women.
When I started my business about 19 years ago, it was a little difficult for me to find mentors in that area because I started off in travel and then I went into the event planning aspect of the business. So for me, I've always wanted to provide an opportunity to give back. Because when I do these different events, I can be at an expo or a conference, especially like an expo, and young ladies come up to me and they go, "Oh my goodness, you know, Miss Sydney, you have an event planning business, or you do travel. Can you just sit down and talk to me about what that means and how do I get involved?" And of course, absolutely, because it's important to share your story with others, because there are things that I've learned over the years that might be a benefit to someone else. So for me, mentoring is extremely important because it provides me an opportunity to give back. And also it helps, and it's nothing better, it's just truly amazing when you have young women who want to be entrepreneurs and you can see the passion and they're willing to make the commitment and they're willing to listen and, you know, to take the advice from a person who's been there. So to me, that is very important, and it's amazing to see a lot of young ladies are now pursuing entrepreneurship, and even in the areas of event planning and travel services.
Okay. And it's never too late. You mentioned one of your mentees is actually older.
Actually, I actually helped her do an event today, and she is much older, and she is amazing. And she actually provides services for seniors, but all in the event, in the event room. And she listens, and I always make sure when I explain something or we do something, I kind of give you a little history or to allow you to understand exactly what I'm saying and why I'm saying it, and the importance of the repercussions if we don't do it the right way. So it's never too late. I get ladies from the ages of 16 to meet people in the airport. They're like, "Oh, you're going on a trip? You're an event planner? Oh, can I get your number? Can I call you? I've always wanted to do that. This is my passion. I want to step out on faith, but I really don't know what to do. Can you help me?" Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how can people reach you should they have questions or want more information about your work?
Well, you can reach me. Again, my website is www.ctellcglobal.com. Phone number is 919-272-3640, or you can also connect with me on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, lots of social media outlets.
Yeah, I'm learning that whole thing too. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
As you look back over the 19 years that you've worked in event planning and travel, what would you say is some of your greatest accomplishments?
Wow, just being my own boss, just having the opportunity to the sky's the limit. I can, there's no hurdle that you can't overcome. And for me, one of my biggest accomplishments was doing an event over in China, and I couldn't speak the language. So it was just amazing to be able to work through that, especially with the language barrier. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, you get to meet so many wonderful people when you travel. And for me, that was one of my biggest challenges because it was, I was coming into a whole new world. Right. And, of course, there were high expectations. And just to see the outcome of everlasting, business relationships that came out of that, as well as just seeing it was a convention, the whole convention just come to fruition. It was just awesome. So that's been one of my biggest
accomplishments.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Tell people again how they can reach you on your website.
www.ctellcglobal.com.
Okay, and you, like you said, are willing to mentor and help anyone interested in getting started in this field. And we certainly thank you for sharing your gifts and being willing to share them and help other women get involved.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being our guest. All right. That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.